Hi friends, I'm Natasha, or you can call me Tash, and I'm a native Houstonian who loves film. I'm an actor and journalist who wants to talk to other film enthusiasts in Houston. You're listening to the very first episode of Tosh Talks Film. I'll speak to directors, actors, and other film professionals in the Houston and surrounding areas. We'll discuss their journey in the film industry, upcoming projects, and how they think the Houston film scene can grow and improve. I'm excited to introduce my very first guest, Julissa Guajardo of Houston Film Scene. We'll talk about how you can get involved with the organization and where you can find more information on their upcoming projects. So let's get into it. I'm going to hand it over to our first guest, Julissa Guajardo. Did I get your last name right?
As Guajardo.
Okay, Julissa Guajardo.
Yes.
And Julissa, just give us like a quick introduction about yourself.
Like Natasha said, I'm Julissa Guajardo. Y'all can call me Jules. That's what I go by, like on set and stuff. But I am currently working at Lone Star College as their multimedia coordinator for their professional and development department. But outside of that, I do help run the Houston film scene along with my two other co-founders, Leo and Mash. You can find more info on them on the website and stuff. But I've been doing videos since I was like 14 years old. Like I started off in high school, like learning it as sort of a trade, learning how to edit videos, how to handle the cameras. And so I've just started doing some freelance videography, photography. Knowing a lot of the softwares from Adobe really pushed me into like learning more about like graphic design as well. So that's how I'm able to use those skills at my current job. But outside of that job, I also like doing short films, documentaries, little videos with my friends, kind of like little promos. And so, that's kind of how the Houston film scene got together. We were just ended up doing videos, or like we'd like to do short films, and then we just kind of got together and we were thinking, dang, what if this could be like more? Because we really see the big, not need, but like just the amount of talent and so many skilled people here, or people here that have so many skills. And so we just know that Houston is really on the up and coming when it comes to the film scene. And I feel like it's still undiscovered in some ways. And so, we just want to bring out that good content that can put Houston on the forefront in the media industry. Get some more people over here.
Thank you for that introduction. I'm sure our viewers are really excited to, especially like I'm expecting a lot of people from the Houston area to really be interested. And I'm sure they already kind of know you. So in this episode, I want them to learn more about you. And then also, you kind of touched on it, how the Houston film scene was born. But yet, tell me a little bit more about you and the other co-founders.
Well, Leo and I, Leonardo Castillo, he's kind of like my business partner in crime and everything video and media. But we had met first at Lone Star College. Lone Star College has their own like video production program where you kind of get to learn all the technical skills to get into the industry. And it was kind of funny because starting off there, a lot of the professors were like, yeah, no, you're kind of here. You are here to learn, but like you'll learn more like going off and getting jobs. Like you're not going to learn too much in the classroom. And so that's kind of what Leo and I got to doing. Like we just started finding other jobs outside of that classroom. Like we've worked on short films, music videos, commercials, reality TV. So like I've been around different types of sets just to like get a knowledge of how a production works and how that workflow goes into it. And then eventually we ended up going to South by Southwest. I think the first year after we met, in order to be there, because in South by Southwest, it's like a global film, music, media, tech conference festival. And so just going there, it was honestly very awe-inspiring, just seeing like so many people around, like everybody has dedicated themselves kind of to this craft, and they're here at South by Southwest to kind of demonstrate what they have to offer to the world, to other people, and create so many new connections there, all under the spirit of like art, and tech and innovation. And so we've kind of been going every year, and that's actually where we met Mash. We met Mash in Austin, although we're all based here in Houston. We were just like in a shuttle, and then like Leo and I were talking about our projects, like, oh my gosh, we've got this one short film coming up, like we got to get to working on like building out the plan, and then Mash out of nowhere is like, you're from Houston? And
I love that.
that's kind of how we met Mash. And We kind of after I think it was South by 22.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Nice.
yeah. And so that was the first time we met Mash, and we kind of didn't see her until like later on in the year because I was actually working at the Lone Star in Tomball, and that's the school where Mash was going to before she transferred off to Boston this past summer.
Okay.
But I had suddenly just like bumped into her at Tomball. I was like, "Wow, hey, I met you at South by," and she's like, "Oh yeah, like y'all do film, like let's get together, let's do some films." And so then we
That's so
just
cool. Yeah, that's really cool.
yeah, we just got to started talking. And then this past January, she was the one that kind of like grouped us all together. It's like, we're going to start something. And so we kind of all kind of formulated together to, it's like, hey, we can do a nonprofit. And because there's different levels of businesses, which I won't get into, but like we decided to do a nonprofit because we want all the money that we receive to be reinvested back into the company in order to create more films. Like we didn't want to have that little the business proprietary, the LLC, and have stuff be like privately owned. Like we want it to be like sort of a collective unit, a collective project for a lot of people. So yeah, that's kind of how we started the nonprofit, and just getting the any info or influence from South by Southwest and like kind of bringing it over here and like and just in a matter for diversifying our media and really promoting like a good work culture for production here in Houston.
Very cool. I do want to ask, so I know you met Mash about 2 years ago. How long have you and Leo been connected?
Just one extra year, I think like
Okay.
right after COVID. So probably like around 21, like January 21 is when I met Leo because we had taken a video editing class together. And so we met at school and we just kind of hit it off there and kind of been inseparable. And then Mash just tagged along the way. And we all
Nice.
kind of just became a nice little powerhouse because we all have our different strengths. And I think that's the best part about it. I do have, I guess, like a more corporate, even though it's like higher education, like college, like office work type of mind ethic. Leo's a little bit more free, like he does more freelancing. He has his own company. So like yeah, he's very hands-on with everything, like likes to make sure everything is running properly. And then Mash just has ideas and literature just oozing out of her basically. She's just
Okay.
very knowledgeable and a lot of cool stuff, and like she loves to talk. Like both of them love to talk, and talking is one of my least, I would say, least favorable strengths. But you know, I'm able to do well.
Nice. Yeah, you're doing amazing right now. Okay, so that kind of leads me into my next question. Tell me about the different roles that you all play in Houston film scene. You were kind of telling me about everyone's expertise. So tell me about everyone's different roles.
Yeah, yeah. So I would say Leo and I have the most similar roles in the sense that we know, like, we have more on set production experience, whereas Mash has more like technical written out experience, or not written out, but like she has uh her ideas flow out of her easily, and the way that she's able to talk and I guess interact in a new space, like she's able to really catch people's attention really easily, and she's such a social butterfly as well as Leo. But Leo likes to be technical. He likes handling the camera. He likes doing a lot of the grunt work as well. He is very good at that, and we are very appreciative as well. But we are all share the titles of like executive producer, directors of
Yes.
the Houston film scene. We just make sure to handle the different aspects. And then I do a lot of the more like business managing, like finance and budgeting, anything that deals
Okay.
with like a computer and planning and stuff like that, for sure.
The
So yeah.
administrative stuff.
Yeah. Sometimes
Okay.
marketing, but we all kind of also dip our toes into the social media of it all because we like creating content. At the end of the day, we're all creative people. So we like to show off our creativity through the Houston film scene, as well as being able to handle and kind of also be a role model on how to handle all of that organizational stuff for other people, because I feel like that's where a lot of people do lack, is just being slightly more organized in order to have a more efficient product at the end of the day.
I will say I like how you guys are marketing yourselves. Like on your social media looks very clean and it just I love like the design of it too. I'm like somebody really knows what they're doing. Like I like the green, like the dark green and then the black
Yeah,
and white. So
Yes, branding is it can be a very powerful tool, especially in the age of social media.
I
So
agree.
we taken that into account. And that's actually one of the comments that we heard. Because I was able to attend the media conference, the Houston Media Conference, I think like 2, 3 weeks, like weekends ago. And that was one of the biggest complaints is that like Houston just isn't able to market itself as the premier spot for creativity to happen. And so, yeah, maybe we can do something about that.
Yes, hopefully so. Hopefully through this podcast, like maybe some graphic designers, reach out and
Exactly.
that's what I'm looking to do, like build awareness and like make connections.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that leads me to my next question. I
Yay.
saw that your Instagram account launched, I want to say in January or February of this year. Is that when the actual organization started, or had it started before that?
Yeah, no, it did sort of start in January. That's kind of when MASH kind of got us all together, mainly because she kind of needed an admissions project for her portfolio for college. So we kind of ended up doing Sonder, which was like our first official short film, I guess, as like HFS. And so we all got together in order to do that in January. Like all of
Okay.
the planning, recording, and editing happened in January for that one short film. So yeah, we wanted to use, but we didn't get really established or like recognized by the Secretary of State until like April or May. So we didn't file any official paperwork until like later on that year, but we just started organizing around January. Yeah.
But the Secretary of State, that's impressive. Like as an organization, like, is that what you
Yeah,
meant?
yeah, yeah. As a
Okay.
nonprofit, yeah,
Okay. Very
officially.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we try to get inspiration from other nonprofits in the area. I know there is like the Houston Film Commission. They work with the federal government in order to get funding or more, eyes on Houston as a filming place. I know there's also SWAMP, the Southwest Alternative Media Project, and the Houston Cinema Arts Society. So all of those three like nonprofits, sort of government things, are doing their own thing. But I think we're are the only difference between us is that we, along with those other two, but we are focusing on diversifying our not just our content but our crew. So we want to make sure that we have like more than enough like women, people of color, people with disabilities being able to get these opportunities, queer people also, to be able to get opportunities in order to be able to connect into the film industry. Because I feel like there's like a little bit of disconnect between the industry and then the people who are wanting to join it. And they're like, I don't really know how to get there, or like, I don't know which path to take. And like the answer is like, there's really no path. You just kind of like have to figure it out and like
Yeah.
do it. And talk to people and network and like just get on sets, hate this one set, get on another set, love the other set. So you just have to go through a bunch of like ups and downs before you like get really established. And so we're hoping with the Houston film scene, we can give them sort of like a step up and like letting them know like, hey, this is how it goes down here in Houston, how we've seen it go down. Here's how we're trying to kind of correct it or like trying to be better than that. But hey, come and join us along for the ride, just to create a better production culture. Yeah.
I love that you guys were about that, like breaking down those barriers for people, like, marginalized people, disabled people, women, queer people. I love that. And I feel like it's so fitting, I guess, for Houston. Like we're the most diverse city in the country. So we're in a great place we're in a great place for you guys to like achieve, what you're trying to work
Yeah.
towards.
Yeah, no, and there's a bunch of good developments happening. I think Ice Cube is trying to build his own soundstage here. I know Netflix is also trying to set ground here and trying to build like a production lot because there's more than enough space to hold it. It's just a matter of investing the money and making sure Houston is viable for it, to really take it off the ground. So I'm hoping that we can grow alongside with that as well.
Tell me a little bit about you guys' first project, Sonder.
So Sonder, it was inspired. Mash was the writer and director for that film. So if she ever gets on, maybe she could even give you like an even deeper dive on it. But honestly, I didn't help out too much. I helped out in like planning and coordinating and scheduling, but I wasn't able to really help out to the day of. So
Okay.
it was kind of wild to kind of hear what was happening because it was January. It was like 30 degrees weather. I think a freeze just happened, and they were recording the weekend after. So they had they had a wild ride on it. Especially without me there, which they were kind of hoping because, I feel like with me there, they always feel like they have a slight sigh of relief because they know at least it's like, oh, there's another person that knows what needs to happen, that can fix a problem if things go awry. But I was able to help them plan the whole schedule to make sure that they didn't waste too much time in
That's
recording.
good. So you kind of
Yeah.
kept everybody on track, on schedule.
Yes, I will. I
Okay.
gave them a schedule. Whether they kept on
Oh.
track, I think that was more on them. But basically, it's basically the Sonder is a short film, kind of describing that feeling you get when you start thinking about like other people's lives and like yours starts to feel like slightly less insignificant, and knowing that there's like so many parallels of like different lives happening at one time, and she's going into this kind of motion after I think the main protagonist breaks up with a relationship, and she's talking with her friend about it, then she turns into a nice little monologue, which it has some amazing cinematography from our DP Josh, and also some drone shots from Miguel. So Miguel Angel and Josh Hernandez was our DP, yeah, for that one.
I
But
recognize like yes, some of the people, because again, like it's the Houston film scene is so small. I was like, oh, there's Kevin. That
yeah.
was cool. I love that. I love that. How
Yeah, so that
long
was our
was the
first one
shoot?
starting off. Which one?
I'm sorry. How long? Sorry to interrupt you. How long was the shoot? Did y'all do it in a day or a weekend?
Yes, it only lasted a day out in Magnolia, definitely on the weekend. I think it was like a Friday or Saturday. And we actually shot it at Mash's house. Mash has a great, or her family has like a great property out in Magnolia with like a lake overlooking on one side, and just honestly, we've actually shot like two or three other short films at her place this past year, so we've been making use of that as well.
Love it. Love it. Okay. Now, okay, so we kind of talked about how the group got started. What are you trying to achieve? Um, Tell me about, any achievements so far, like any big wins that the Houston film scene. I think we've kind of touched on some of them, but if you
uh,
can expand, like any big wins for the
I
Houston film scene.
feel like really our biggest win right now is the fact that so many people are starting to get to know us, and I feel like it's also subconsciously because they keep saying the Houston film scene and like to describe like the entire film community,
Oh,
um, instead of being like Houston Film Scene Incorporated,
mhm.
So I feel in that way we kind of sort of gotten our name a little bit, but I would say I feel like our biggest win is yet to come. We participated in the 48-hour challenge.
I
So I
saw.
guess we could potentially win like a People's Choice Award. We couldn't submit it in time, but like we were literally like 1 minute late. But maybe we could win the audience award, something like
Yeah.
that. People could vote for us. So we're hoping that happens. And yeah, with He's So Quiet, we really do see the potential for it to go off into festivals, maybe have our own screenings. We did our Film with Pride screening actually this past June for Pride Month, where we were able to host, I think, like 35 people, like 35 people bought tickets to our little
Wow.
screening. So we were very excited for that.
Very big win.
Uh, yes, very big win. And we planned that whole screening event, like within the month. Like June kind of came upon us, and we're like, oh my gosh, we're all gay. We got to make a little gay event. Like, let's do it. And so, yeah, we opened up like our own little Film with Pride screening. And now we're hoping it's like an annual event, because I guess I haven't really heard of any like gay or LGBTQ film screenings happening around just yet, or
Yeah.
maybe they did and then they kind of went down during COVID and just never got their feet to get back up again or something like that. So yeah, I guess we got a film festival under our reins now that we're looking to expand for the next year.
That's amazing. I think you definitely should make it like an annual thing. Because yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't heard of any either, and especially in Houston. I know we have a very
Mm-hmm.
big gay community here, and then during Pride, like that would be amazing. Like all the film lovers. I'm
Yes,
getting excited.
yes.
Excited.
Yes, a lot of our attendees were kind of like friends and family, but there were some people that were unrecognizable. So it's like, okay, so it got out into the community. People got to see a little bit of it, so they got to join in. So yeah, so we're hoping for a bigger venue, a bigger event. But yeah, I guess that was our biggest win so far, is having that Pride screening. That kind of gave us like our startup funds to get us started.
Where did y'all host it?
We hosted it at El Big Bad on June 26th, and we didn't have too many submissions. Like, we did like a call for artists to kind of like submit any films, and we even reached out individually to some people that we knew, but a lot of them were like, no, not yet, my work's not ready, which is understandable. Like, I was there, I feel like I hate my work sometimes until it's out in the open for a few years, and then I'm like, okay, I guess it's not as bad.
It's not that bad.
But no, in the first inaugural Film with Pride screening, we got to show like one short film out of each of the founders, and then I was able to catch a friend and like have her set up a booth and sell prints, and like another friend to kind of show off her little artistic thing. So yeah, it was a small screening, but I feel like it's the start of something for sure.
Yeah, it's your first one. I was like, I mean, don't be too hard on
Mm-hmm.
yourself. It sounds like,
Yeah, we'll have
yeah,
more time to plan.
yes, yeah. Next year you can already start planning now, or whoever, or
Mhm.
whenever.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah,
Okay,
no, it was fun.
we talked about achievements, and now, so like, where do you see the group headed? Like maybe in the next 6 months.
In the next 6 months, we definitely we want to focus on hosting writers' rooms. We've done some writers' rooms, but it was mainly like invite only, just because we want to be very selective about the type of ideas we are building up, because we do want to focus on creating very character driven, culturally diverse stories. And with our writers' rooms, we want to kind of implement like a nice little structure and like a plan of action, so that we are able to help guide you, and also being able to provide a space to collaborate on the story in order to kind of be able to get like real-time feedback and have like a plan of action of like how you were able to complete this. And then not only that, but also like prep it for pre-production and like for pitching and stuff, so that way you can go off and kind of sell the idea, maybe get some money off of it. So that's kind of our hope. That, along with some grant writing and fundraising, that's what we're looking to do in these next couple of months. For He's So Quiet, we have like a goal of like $10,000, hopefully, to raise up for that in order to be able to handle the production. And so yeah, we'll have a screening hopefully of that by next year as well, like January, February, because we plan on shooting this fall. So, I mean, fingers crossed for all of that, right?
That's really
All the
exciting.
while doing our day jobs and like trying to do
Balancing
stuff.
everything. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like the screening would be like in time for you guys' like 1 year anniversary of being,
Oh
active.
my gosh, I didn't even realize that. You're so right. Oh,
I'm
we
trying to, I'm
did
trying
plan
to
on
actively
making.
listen. Go ahead.
I mean, we were planning on doing something for January, but I guess I totally went over my head that yeah, that's when the first HFS meeting got together, I suppose. Yeah, you're right. Oh,
That's cool. I love how that kind of, came full circle. And see, like you didn't even plan it. So it was just kind of
yeah.
meant
And
to
honestly, in
be.
a
It's cool.
year, I feel like less stuff happens in a year sometimes, and under
Yes.
certain things. So, oh well, thank you for making me realize that. That was great.
You're welcome. That's very exciting. Yeah, that's really exciting. And you said y'all are starting production this in the fall, so like kind of like right now, or
We're trying to do this proof of concept. We're always trying to give ourselves deadlines, but we always end up pushing them. But yeah, no, the goal is to be able to record like during the Thanksgiving break, or maybe like the December break a little bit. Because our main protagonist is back to school, so like now he's limited to just like evenings and weekends at times. Of course, depending on his schoolwork. So now we have to work around that schedule. But yeah, no, we're just very excited to get it off the ground, because it's a story just kind of delving into the psyche of this little boy, in class. He's so quiet, and like you're wondering why. The teacher wonders why. And so you get to kind of get to see his home life a little bit. Obviously, it's very sad, and like obviously, children in that situations, they either turn out worse or they fight like hell to get better. And so, yeah, we're just wanting to highlight those diverse, dynamic relationships that a kid has in his life and how that potentially will impact his future.
Hmm. Is it a coming of age kind of? It's what it sounds
I
like
would
at
say
least.
it's more like a dramatic, poignant story. Mainly because we don't. It feels almost like a montage of the life happening at times. So yeah, I would say it's more of a dramatic retelling of Quentin's own personal experience because he is a school teacher as well. He used to be like a substitute photography, but now he's a full-time teacher. So he has like a lot of experience of like being in the classroom with these kids and like out of nowhere they turn silent or they turn quiet and you're kind of left wondering like why. So we just really just explore those two relationships mainly, like the father and son relationship and the teacher and Jonah's relationship, and kind of see like which one took more influence at the end.
Okay. Quickly explain, because I know our time is dwindling. Quickly explain who Quentin is, and then also for everybody listening and watching, like for actors, like do you guys need crew? Like are there casting calls?
So far with crew, no, we're pretty good. Which that's also the best thing about the Houston film scene and like us getting to know a lot of people and a lot of people getting to know us is a lot of people coming to us like, oh hey, like y'all got any projects? It's like we do. We just don't have enough money to pay everyone at the moment. So crew, we are set for. The only thing we would desperately need would be just children actors to fill in as extras as the students in the classroom. But I've also gotten in contact, or Quentin Washington, I guess I'll start off. Quentin Washington, he's a local a local DP. He also does freelancing. So he has his own production company called Moonlight Productions. And so he does photography, videography, events, stuff like that, sort of as freelance. And he also has a marvelous like Instagram page. Like they're very high quality like content that he puts out.
What's his ad? What's his ad
Oh,
name?
Moonlight Productions.
Oh, Moonlight Productions.
M00 Moonlight, but the O, like the O's are zeros, the first two O's.
Gotcha.
Moonlight Productions, you can find him on Instagram, but he's our artist that we're collaborating with. He wrote the story. He's also going to be the DP for it. And he's also bringing on some of his own students to kind of help out be production assistants and kind of get some on-set production experience. And, you know, we can teach them the workflows of how a production should go, which is we're really excited for.
I'm really excited too. It sounds like a really good film. Just from
Yes.
what you said about it. And then I submitted it as well. So I'm not even just saying that because I'm biased. It does sound like something interesting. And so I'm excited to see it come to fruition next year.
I'm very excited as well. Yes, we're trying to get the gears moving, and we also were able to bring on an extra producer for it. Her name is Camille Ashraf, and she's actually the founder of another nonprofit called Actors Across Borders. And so
she's
they are
coming
also
on the podcast too. So it's exciting.
Yeah, is she tomorrow?
Later this week.
But yeah, no, she started off as an actress, sort of in the indie scene, but she's wanting to get into producing because she has some skill sets that can translate to that. And so I was like, okay, cool, we'll teach you how to produce. Like, let's go. So she's going to be acting as one of our producers or assistant producers for He's So Quiet.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you guys at least have a very good start. And you know, like you know what direction you want to go in. And so I feel like a lot of like that, and that's like the pre-planning. I think that may be like the hardest part of the whole process.
And I feel like it's taken, at least for me, it's taken 10 years, like legit 10 years for me to get to a point of like, yeah, no, I finally know what I need to do with my life. Like, we just need to get to doing it. And so I think that's one of the reasons why we started the Houston film scene, because me growing up, being 14 years old in high school, trying to learn how to video edit is like, and like wanting with dreams of like making movies and short films, but like not knowing where to start, like, and then that imposter syndrome of like, oh, well, you're a queer person, you're a person of color, you're slightly disabled, so like, where can you find your in in the industry, but I kind of been able to make it happen, figuring it out. And so I kind of want to help other people that also want to have the same dreams as me, kind of get through.
I love that. It's all about, helping the next person behind you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it's time for closing questions. I do want to know, is there anything that I didn't ask you that about Houston film scene or even about like maybe your personal experience navigating the Houston film industry? Is there anything that I didn't ask that you may have wanted to just share?
Not that I'm thinking. I mean, I could talk about the Houston film and media industry, I feel like forever. But the main takeaway, because it was also mentioned at the Houston Media Conference, is that we just need to collaborate more together. We need to like kind of push our egos aside of like, oh, like I can only work with this amount, or like, what's it called? Or it's like, I guess I honestly don't know, but like we're just so siloed and like so separated and disconnected from each other. We just need to learn how to work better together, like I guess build on our interpersonal skills a little bit, because I feel like also a lot of people who get into filmmaking or like editing or whatever, they're kind of introverts, and so they're like, oh, I don't like
Yeah.
socializing, I don't like talking to people. It's like, but you got to talk to people, like
Yeah, to get
how are
things
you going to
made. Yeah,
advance if you're not communicating?
I
And so
agree.
I feel like we are heading in the right step, because I am aware of all of the other projects that are happening within my vicinity, or within my like pay level, like pay grade, the pay that we're receiving and doing for these projects. So like I am aware of all of these projects, and I am able to either, I have the option of like putting my hand in it or not if I really want to. So I feel if we all kind of collectively start doing that, of like being aware of what we're working on, what like collectively what each of our goals are, like, and then see how we can build each other's up to reach those goals, like together, not just by ourselves.
I love that. So hopefully I can help with this podcast. Just like I want to bring people on and I want them to say like, what they need, what they're looking for, just to so we can help each other. I think that's the only way maybe the Houston film scene is going to grow. Like we do need each other. So we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
have to get out of our comfort bubbles and like, I don't know,
Yes.
start talking to people.
Yes, yes. Because what I've also gathered is that like Houston as a collective, it's a pretty humble community, but like we let that humbleness get in the way a bit. It's like, oh, I can't do that. Like it's too much for me. Like, like I'm not worth all of that. It's like, no, we are worth all of this.
To finish like what you were saying about how we can the only way really to grow the Houston film industry is by like talking to each other and leaning on each other and like utilizing everyone's skills. And because
Mhm.
you're not going to know like what skills people have, I guess, unless you start a conversation with them. So just kind of expand on that.
Yeah, no, I mean, we definitely need to start working together, and not only working together, but learning how to work together and collaboratively, because we can work together, but like, I feel eventually people kind of start getting a bit of like air up their ass of like, oh, well, like, this is my project to start off with. So like, we should do it like that. But like, it can reach at that point, and there should be like one person assigned to kind of like veto all of that. But you know, I feel like collaboration has to be the big part of it. And I can also see this within the higher education realm that I work in, where interpersonal skills have been, I guess, the most declined skill out of all of them, and the most necessary as well, because that's what you need for communication and collaboration. Um, so yeah,
It's the
basically that. But
foundation, I
also
feel.
yeah, just be a team player, because there are also some people who just think that they're above everything else as well, and so it's just like that doesn't make you want to work with that person again. So
No.
like we gotta remain humble, as Houston is humble, but also like really pack a punch where we need to.
I
Mm-hmm.
agree. Yeah. Because no, and then no one likes working with anybody like that has like a bad attitude. Like the chances of them
Mm-mm.
wanting to work with you again are gonna be like slim to none.
Yeah, like I
Mhm.
have this one dude who says like, "Oh yeah, let's keep working together," but he always ends up flaking on me. Like the chances are very slim if I'm gonna be calling you up to work together. Like, so it's a give and
Exactly.
take. It's a give and take.
So we kind of touched on this. This will be my last question for you. But what would you want to see? Where would you want to see the Houston film industry maybe end up being, oh, did you get knocked out or no?
Oh,
Oh, no, you didn't get knocked out. I think the recording finished downloading. And so hold on, it kind of changed the view. You're still
uh,
there?
yeah,
Oh,
I'm still here.
let's see. Yeah, it kind of changed the view a little bit. And so now
Maybe, I know if you swipe it, at least I'm on my tablet. So like if I swipe, like it can change views, but I don't know if, or maybe there's like a setting where,
I'm on my computer. Yeah, that was so weird. Like it just it's like is it on grid view? And I'm not sure how to get it back to full screen. Okay, let me click on. Okay. Okay, I just clicked on the desktop app and now okay, we're back to full screen.
yeah, okay. No,
Oh, the
you're
first one. Okay, oh my gosh. Now okay, this is fine. This view is fine. Okay, but yeah, closing question, I guess like where would you want to see maybe happen or I'm trying to say this question the right way, but I feel like you kind of know what I'm saying.
yeah.
But what would you like to see the Houston film or what would you like to see happen in the Houston film industry like for it to advance and progress?
Oh my goodness. I think all we really need might be like an Oscar winning film or something to just really kind of put Houston on the map of like, hey, look at this beautifully cinematic, artistic piece of art. But then I also think that the Academy is a little bit whitewashed. And then maybe we could create our own Oscars or something like that. But in order to have that, it's a long established sort of thing. But yeah, no, I mean, we just need, I guess the biggest win would be incentivization for film productions because that's where we are struggling to get films made in Houston, also picked up from the Houston Media Conference. But not a lot of films are made in Houston, or a lot of films that are set in Houston are usually never recorded in Houston. And the reason for that being is because production, like there's not enough of a tax break for film productions to come here and be able to spend their monies and being able to receive that nice little, I guess, incentive to order to film. And
I've
I
been
know the
hearing a
Houston
lot
Film
about that,
Mm-hmm. And the
about
Houston Film Commission
taxes.
is trying to like they're the ones that I guess work closely more with like the lobbyists and like all the policymakers. But yeah, there's no tax incentives or almost zero incentive to shoot here in Houston, and so having that it would be a game changer. Like it would be like we would become LA. I feel like almost or Hollywood instantly.
Mm.
Because the Houston people, like when I was working at the reality TV set, it lasted for like 2.5 months over in Webster. And whenever like I was out and about getting errands, because I was a PA, but I was out and about getting errands, and people would be like, "Is this for like a film or a video or something?" It's like, "Yeah, no, it's a reality TV." And like people would just be so psyched to know that whatever I was doing or whatever I was getting from their store or their business, like that it was going to a production, like a video production set or like a TV production set, they were just like blown away and like super helpful. And it's just amazing. The people want it. The people want like
You.
productions to happen here, but there's not enough incentive to come.
Mm. Okay, well, I'm curious, can you say the reality show that was
Yes,
filmed?
yes. It was, it happened, I think, in era 22. So I guess around the same time that I went to South by Southwest, I actually had to leave production for 10 days to attend South by Southwest because that was already prepaid for before I had taken on that job. But I worked as an office production assistant, so like with the production coordinator, production manager, line producer, and all the other executive producers of the show. But it was a BET Plus show
That's
called
cool.
called College Hill Celebrity Edition. It was a
Oh,
reboot
and
of
I
an
feel like I've seen
old.
that on Netflix. I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I'm like, I feel like I've seen that on Netflix. Did you get to see any like celebrities?
Yeah, sort of in passing,
That's cool.
and also through they had like a little video village in the garage because they got a whole mansion, and so the secondary house, like in front of the house, in front of the mansion, was like our video village. So like they had the nice little monitor set up with all of the cameras of the inside the house and like the people with that were moving around. So yeah, no, it was pretty cool because I got to work very closely with the production office and like being the assistant to all like the everyday mishaps and dealings that we had to deal with on that. But yeah, no, it was honestly very eye-opening to how it ran because it was an outsourced production. So like people from LA were coming here to Houston and they were actually flying in people from LA, like camera workers, sound workers, like from LA, Atlanta, New York. And the only people who were natives and locals on the set were the PAs. It's like, why are there no camera people who work in the Houston as being here? Well, I mean, I'm sure they probably don't want to like, you know, disappear for 2.5 months because it is like 12-hour days, 6 days a week for like 3 months. So it is a little bit tough, but yeah, no, I feel like I kind of missed connecting with Houston people in that way, like, you know, of them being part of the crew and stuff. Because the only locals were the PAs on that set.
Interesting.
And even then, some of them weren't even locals either. Like some of them also kind of came in from either LA, New York, or Atlanta. So yeah, we just need more Texas people in film and more diverse Texas people in film.
We do have professionals here. I'm like, I wonder why they decided to, I'm just spitballing. Maybe they think that we're not professional enough or don't have enough experience. Is that kind of why? Or
the marketing, like we're just not like our marketing is not as polished as LA or New York, how they're used to. How they run, it is very differently to how Texas is run because they are such huge metropolitan areas, but so is Houston. But like Houston, I guess in that area does need a little bit more refinement, if you wanted to say. But it's just a matter of people investing in us and like helping us out a little bit too. So yeah, no, we're just here to create that change, I suppose.
quickly explain, because I've heard this before about why there's not a lot of filming done in Texas, like the tax incentives or the lack of. Can you quickly explain that for maybe somebody who doesn't know anything about that?
Yes. So for us, well, at least how I understand it, is that the government does see film productions as like a viable business incentive in the ways that productions are able to kind of fly people in or like bring more tourism or more foreigners, if you want to say, like more out of staters into your states to kind of go in, spend money on like hotels, on food, and all of that good stuff, basically on tourism stuff. At least I know that's how the Houston Arts Alliance is able to fund their grants, is through the Houston like the tourism tax. So like any taxes on like hotels and any like tourist attractions, I believe. They're able to get some monies which they are able to reinvest into the culture and arts. And so I kind of feel like it's something similar to that, where in places like LA and Georgia and New York, they're given a tax break based off of how much people they're able to bring in for that production and, you know, spend money in their city. So like by them bringing a whole crew of like 100 people into their city to like spend money on hotels and food, and obviously people are working, but on their days off or when they're not at work, like they're off spending money, going to the sites, exploring. And so all of that money, all of that revenue from the tourism, that could be used then again back into the production, because I guess the government is giving them like a little, and that's the incentive, is like, hey, you bring us people like into our city, we're giving you money for bringing those jobs and that all that movement into the city. And so in Houston, I don't know what's going, well, I guess we kind of do know what's going on with their government, but like, you know, we got to figure out a way to also have that incentive for us, because yeah, with that BET show, I think it was like 100 crew members, half from LA, half from New York, another part from Atlanta or Georgia. And yeah, they blocked almost like a whole hotel to host all that crew. And they gave them like a per diem for them to spend on their meals. So it's like, all that money could go back to Houston, but only if we are able to host productions here in Houston. So yeah, it's a nice little full circle. It's like, oh, we got to do this before we can do this, before we can do this, before we can do that.
Yeah. So we've got a long road ahead of us, but We'll get there eventually. We'll get there eventually.
Yes, that's the hope. That's the hope. Thank you so much for doing this. I really feel so honored and special to be like your first interviewee.
I honestly likewise, like I'm happy that you agreed to come on. And I love you guys' name, Houston Film Scene. Like to me, it's a cool name. And so it sounds like, and I love what y'all are doing. So I was honored, that you said yes to come on. So and I'm glad that y'all were the first one because it's gonna be very special to me.
Thank
Um, but thank you so much, Julissa. I feel like I learned a lot, and then hopefully people watching and listening, they learned a lot. And then lastly, tell everybody like how they can follow you. So give us your personal socials and then also Houston Film Scene socials.
Yes, well, y'all can follow me on Instagram. I don't think I have a Twitter anymore or X as I call it, but Instagram at jules.media. And then you can also follow the Houston Film Scene at Houston Film Scene. And if you've got a few dollars to spare, you can donate it to us on our website. But that's basically it.
Thank you so much. And thank you guys for listening and watching. And stay tuned for our next episode where I speak with Randy Ramsey of SWAT, which is the Southwest Alternate Media Project. So stay tuned for that.